I've been reading a lot about revolutions and revolutionary times, and a lot of you said that I should read this book. The True Believer by Eric Hoffer is an exploration of mass movements and fanaticism. And what he posits is mass movements always attract the same types of personalities. And even though revolutions and mass movements are often about freedom and autonomy, they actually arise at times that people do not feel secure enough. So he says, you're not actually going to get a mass movement when people are too controlled. You're going to get a mass movement when people are not controlled enough. And this is completely opposite of how I would see our moment. But the places that I see where things are not controlled enough or unfettered is in the economy. The people are calling for more economic prosperity, more economic regulation, and more boundaries around the safety of the earth and human well-being. So in that way, the people are calling for more controls because unfettered capitalism has gotten out of hand. The other thing he writes is you're more likely to get a mass movement out of the new poor. So people who have recently become economically poor, you're not going to get a mass movement from people who've been poor for a long time. One of the reasons is people who are collectively poor have strong communities, and so they are not frustrated people. People who have been brought from relative wealth to relative poverty will have really high levels of anger and frustration, combined with a lack of community or an animosity towards those who have more. There is the sense that the people who are near you are not like you or are separate from you, versus the old poor who have been around their communities and feel that the people who are near them are like them or are at the same level as them. This book was written in 1951, so it's always really fascinating to see how the test of time has invalidated the book. Concepts actually feel very evergreen, and now and then he'll use a word that you're like, oh, that's a 1951 word, like invalid. Eric Hoffer was also not an academic. He was not a sociologist. He was a longshoreman, and it feels like that background brings a really fresh perspective. But overall, I think this was an excellent read and a great addition to the compiling of knowledge I'm getting about revolutions, violence, and nonviolence, just like the history of our country, the history of racism, the history of feminism. Y'all told me to read The Jungle. I totally finished The Jungle. I'm horrified. And then I read the last book written by Eleanor Roosevelt in 1963. And after finishing that book, I'm going to go ahead and read all 7 of the books that she ever wrote. And if any of y'all have read books that felt very wise to you, very evergreen, especially those that have been written in maybe like the 1920s through the 1960s, I'd love some suggestions for more stuff to read.